Picture this for a moment. You step outside early in the morning, open your door, and instantly something incredible happens. A shimmer of metallic green flashes past your face. A hummingbird pauses midair, hovering like a tiny helicopter. Above your flowers, a few monarch butterflies drift and dance in the sunlight. Suddenly, your garden isn't still anymore. It's alive. It feels energetic, colorful, almost magical, filled with motion and beauty every single day. Most people assume attracting hummingbirds and butterflies is just a matter of luck. But that couldn't be further from the truth. It's not luck, it's design. And today, you're about to discover 7 powerful plants that can turn almost any garden, regardless of climate, size, or soil, into a constant hub of life and activity. These are the plants hummingbirds and butterflies simply can't resist, the ones they return to again and again. And once you plant them, your garden becomes a place they visit all season long, without feeders, chemicals, or complicated routines. So settle in, take notes if you need to, and get ready to find your favorites. Plant number 1. Salvia amistad. If there's one plant that hummingbirds are completely drawn to without hesitation, it's Salvia amistad. This plant isn't just attractive to them, it's irresistible. Think of it as a premium nectar station that hummingbirds instinctively seek out. As soon as it begins to bloom, its deep, velvety purple tubular flowers stand out immediately. Their shape is perfectly suited to hummingbirds' long, slender beaks, allowing them to feed with ease. And the nectar? It's produced in such abundance that birds return constantly, often checking the plant throughout the day for more. What truly sets this variety apart is its incredible blooming period. It starts early in the season and continues all the way until frost without slowing down. While other plants struggle during intense summer heat, Salvia amistad keeps going strong. And when autumn arrives and most flowers begin to fade, it continues blooming as if nothing has changed. Here's why hummingbirds are so drawn to it. It produces nectar continuously, even during hot midday hours when other plants stop. Flowers regenerate quickly. Once old blooms are removed, new ones appear within days. Its tall, upright growth provides perfect hovering access for feeding birds. The rich purple color is highly visible even from a distance. In fact, once hummingbirds discover this plant, they often treat it like their own territory. You'll see them darting, circling, and even chasing each other away in quick bursts of flight. It's like watching tiny aerial duels unfold right in your garden. There's also a major advantage for gardeners. If the plant becomes too tall or starts to look a bit stretched out, simply trim it back. Instead of weakening, it responds with a surge of new growth. More stems, more branches, and even more flowers. If your goal is to attract hummingbirds consistently, Salvia amistad isn't just a good option. It's one of the most reliable choices you can make. It delivers fast, visible results and keeps performing all season long. Plant number 2. Butterfly bush, Buddleia. Now let's talk about butterflies. If Salvia is the ultimate hummingbird magnet, then Buddleia, commonly known as butterfly bush, is the place where butterflies gather in numbers. Its name isn't just for show. This plant has earned its reputation because butterflies visit it constantly, from morning through evening, as if it were their personal feeding station. The flowers grow in long, cone-shaped clusters, made up of dozens of tiny, nectar-rich blooms. These clusters are perfectly designed for butterflies. They can land easily, move slowly from one flower to another, and feed without needing to hover or struggle. You'll often see a wide variety of butterflies visiting Buddleia, including monarchs, especially during migration periods. Swallowtails gracefully circling the bloom's painted ladies, active and energetic red admirals, drawn in by the strong scent, and that scent is one of its key features. Buddleia produces a noticeable sweet fragrance, similar to honey, that can be detected from several feet away. Butterflies are highly sensitive to scent, and once they detect it, they fly directly toward the source. Here's why gardeners love this plant. It blooms continuously from summer into fall. It grows quickly and fills space fast. It thrives even in poor, sandy, or rocky soil. It comes in a wide range of colors, including deep purple, bright pink, soft lavender, pure white, even yellow varieties. When a butterfly bush reaches maturity, it becomes a hub of constant movement. It's not unusual to see multiple butterflies, sometimes dozens, feeding on a single plant at once. It transforms your garden into something dynamic. And one of the most beautiful moments happens in the late afternoon. As the sun begins to soften, mighty butterflies gather for one last feeding before sunset. The light catches their wings, colors glow, and everything slows down into a calm, almost dreamlike scene. If you've ever wanted a garden filled with butterflies drifting through the air all summer long, Buddleia makes that vision real, with almost no effort at all. Plant number 3, coral honeysuckle. If you've ever relied on a hummingbird feeder, you already know how much work it can be. Cleaning sticky residue, dealing with mold, fighting off ants, refilling constantly, boiling sugar water, it quickly becomes a chore. Now imagine replacing all of that effort with a single plant that performs the same role, but does it naturally, beautifully, and without any maintenance. That's exactly what coral honeysuckle offers. Unlike the aggressive Japanese honeysuckle, this variety is native, well-behaved, and incredibly beneficial for wildlife. It doesn't take over your garden. Instead, it becomes a reliable, long-term nectar source that hummingbirds absolutely depend on. Its flowers are long, narrow, and vibrant red, perfectly shaped for a hummingbird's slender beak. It feels almost intentional, as if the plant and the bird evolved specifically for each other. And instead of artificial sugar water that spoils, this plant produces fresh, clean nectar every single day. Here's why hummingbirds are drawn to it. It blooms very early in the season, often before many other plants. It provides essential energy right after migration. Birds remember its location and return year after year. Its nectar production is steady, consistent, and abundant. In fact, you may notice hummingbirds visiting even before the plant begins blooming, almost as if they're checking whether their favorite food source is ready again. Because it's a climbing vine, coral honeysuckle gives you flexibility in how you use it. You can guide it along fences, wrap it around trellises, train it over arches, or let it climb along railings and posts. Place it near a window or seating area, and you'll have a front-row view of nature in action. Hummingbirds will zip in and out, hover in midair, dip into the flowers, and occasionally pause on the vines before darting away again. This plant doesn't just replace a feeder, it surpasses it completely. No mess, no maintenance, no artificial setup. Just a steady stream of hummingbirds returning year after year completely naturally. Plant number 4, lantana. If you're looking for a plant that bursts with color and draws butterflies in effortlessly, lantana is one of the best choices you can make. At first glance, it may seem simple, but once it begins blooming, it transforms into a vibrant hub of activity. Its flowers grow in compact clusters made up of many tiny blooms, forming rounded, dome-like shapes. These clusters act like perfect landing platforms, allowing butterflies to settle comfortably and move from flower to flower while feeding with ease. Here's why lantana stands out. It produces multiple colors at once. It thrives in heat, sun, and dry conditions where other plants struggle. It continues producing nectar even during intense heat. Its flowers gradually change color, signaling fresh nectar availability. One of the most fascinating things about lantana is its color transformation. A single flower cluster often begins as yellow, then shifts through shades of orange, pink, and sometimes red. This constant change signals to butterflies that new nectar is available, encouraging them to return again and again. And it's not just butterflies that benefit. Bees visit regularly, hummingbirds stop by, and many beneficial insects are drawn to it as well. Lantana is also extremely versatile. It grows well in pots and containers, hanging baskets, garden borders, flower beds, rock gardens. Even in small spaces like balconies or patios, it performs beautifully. Its manageable size combined with its intense color makes it both practical and visually striking. When fully established, lantana becomes a constant source of motion, butterflies hovering, landing, circling, and returning throughout the day. It turns your garden into a lively, ever-changing display of color and movement. Plant number 5, red hot poker. If you want a plant that immediately grabs attention and transforms your garden into something bold and unforgettable, red hot poker is exactly that kind of centerpiece. This plant doesn't quietly blend in, it commands attention. When it blooms, it sends up tall, flame-like spikes that appear almost illuminated. The colors shift from intense orange at the top to golden yellow in the middle and soften into pale cream at the base. The result is so dramatic it almost looks unreal, like something from a distant, exotic landscape. And hummingbirds? They are irresistibly drawn to it. Here's why they love it. The tall spikes are easy to spot from afar. The tubular flowers are filled with nectar. It blooms for an extended period, providing long-term food. Its vertical structure allows quick and efficient feeding. You'll often see hummingbirds hovering around these spikes like tiny machines, moving precisely from flower to flower. Because the blooms are arranged vertically, they move up and down the stalk in a smooth rhythm, feeding along the way. But this plant isn't just for birds, you'll appreciate it too. It handles drought conditions extremely well. It requires very little maintenance. It adds an exotic, eye-catching element to any garden. Deer and rabbits tend to avoid it. It fits perfectly into borders, rock gardens, or focal plantings. There's also a unique interaction you might notice. While hummingbirds feed actively along the upper flowers, butterflies often settle lower on the same spike, feeding more slowly. At times, both species share the same plant at once, a rare and fascinating moment that brings a sense of life and harmony to your garden. Red-hot poker doesn't just provide color. It brings movement, energy, and a striking visual presence that turns any space into something unforgettable. Plant number 6, Joe Pye weed. If you've ever imagined a garden filled with dozens of butterflies fluttering at once, then Joe Pye weed is a plant you simply can't overlook. This isn't a plant that attracts butterflies occasionally. It draws them in large numbers, almost overwhelmingly. Growing tall, often between 5 and 7 feet, it produces large, soft, cloud-like clusters of flowers in gentle shades of pink and purple. When it reaches full bloom, it becomes a powerful nectar source, almost like an open invitation that butterflies cannot resist. One of its greatest advantages is its timing. Joe Pye weed blooms later in the season, exactly when many butterflies, especially migrating monarchs, are in urgent need of energy. By planting it, you're not just adding beauty to your garden, you're providing essential fuel that helps support their long journeys. Here's what makes it so exceptional. Its large flower heads provide stable landing areas where multiple butterflies can feed at once. The blooms release a sweet, vanilla-like scent that pollinators can detect from a distance. It attracts a wide range of pollinators, including butterflies and bees. It thrives in damp, moist soil and can even handle poorly drained conditions. Over time, it expands gently, forming larger zones filled with pollinator activity. When Joe Pye weed is fully in bloom, the scene becomes extraordinary. Instead of a few scattered butterflies, you'll often see entire groups gathering. Monarchs, swallowtails, painted ladies, fritillaries, all feeding together on the same plant. Unlike many flowers where butterflies briefly stop and move on, here they often linger. They rest on the soft clusters, slowly feeding and staying in place for minutes at a time. The plant itself stands tall and elegant, swaying lightly in the breeze while covered in moving wings, orange, black, yellow, and blue. It becomes a central feature in your garden, full of life and constant motion. But its impact goes beyond butterflies. It creates a small ecosystem around it. Bees move steadily from cluster to cluster. Hummingbirds occasionally stop by, and beneficial insects find shelter among its tall stems. Once you introduce Joe Pye weed into your garden, the entire atmosphere changes. It becomes more alive, more active, and more connected to nature. Plant number 7, Pentas. At first glance, Pentas might seem like a modest plant, but don't let its simple appearance fool you. It is one of the most consistent and powerful pollinator-attracting plants you can grow. Many gardeners describe it as the plant that never stops. And once you see how it performs, that description makes perfect sense. Pentas produces nectar continuously. In warm climates, it can bloom year-round. In cooler regions, it flowers from spring all the way through fall. It doesn't slow down, pause, or take breaks. It simply keeps producing, turning your garden into a constant feeding station. The plant forms rounded, bushy clusters packed with hundreds of tiny star-shaped flowers. These blooms are grouped into dome-like heads, and each tiny flower functions like a small nectar source. Their structure is perfectly suited for pollinators. Butterflies can easily reach inside with their long feeding tubes, while hummingbirds move quickly from cluster to cluster, collecting nectar with precision. Here's what makes pentas so effective. It blooms continuously, even during intense heat. It doesn't require special soil or complicated care. It grows well in containers, raised beds, borders, or directly in the ground. It attracts pollinators every single day. It tolerates strong sunlight that would damage many other plants. While many plants struggle during the peak of summer, Oni pentas becomes even more active. As temperatures rise, it produces even more flowers, creating waves of color and activity. Your garden will quickly become a gathering place for a wide range of visitors, hummingbirds darting between flower clusters, swallowtail butterflies landing gracefully, sulfur butterflies feeding from bloom to bloom, skippers hovering with quick darting movements, honeybees collecting pollen, native bees buzzing around the flowers, even moths appearing during the evening hours. The diversity it attracts is remarkable. More importantly, pentas doesn't just bring pollinators in, it keeps them coming back. Because it produces nectar throughout the day, pollinators learn where it is and return repeatedly, turning your garden into a constantly active, living environment. There are also many reasons gardeners love it. It fills hot, sunny spaces with ease. It looks vibrant both from a distance and up close. It's extremely easy to grow. It keeps your garden colorful long after other plants stop blooming. It fits perfectly even in small spaces like patios or balconies. One of its biggest advantages is flexibility. If you only have a small balcony, pentas grows beautifully in pots. If you have a larger garden, planting several together creates bold, colorful areas that stay active all day with butterflies moving through them. In warm or tropical climates, it can even bloom through winter, providing nectar when other sources are unavailable. Unlike many flowering plants that bloom in cycles or require constant attention, pentas keeps going with minimal effort. Give it sunlight, occasional watering, and basic care, and it will reward you with continuous blooms and nonstop pollinator activity. It may not be as dramatic as red-hot poker or as tall as Joe Pye weed. It doesn't climb like coral honeysuckle or explode with color like lantana. But what it offers is something just as valuable: consistency. If you want a plant that works immediately, blooms endlessly, handles heat, grows in almost any space, and attracts pollinators every single day, pentas is one of the most dependable choices you can add to your garden.